nutritionist, a guy who shares because he cares. So catch me. I'm going to give this a second. For those of you who are coming on for the first time, do me a favor and go over to our YouTube channel. Click on the like, subscribe, hit that bell so that whenever I upload information, you will be notified. Okay, so that's where most of the information is. Again, this is Robert Ferguson. I have a lot to share with you. I'm going to condense it because I want you to have this information so that you can make the most of what we have coming up in the very, 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 very near future. Now, my main thing that I want to share, even though I want to get to all the things that we have coming up, I want to share with you information about our annual 8-week fat loss challenge. Notice it does not say weight loss, it says fat loss. Before I get into that, I want to give you some psychology on navigating around nutrition, exercise, lifestyle as it pertains to both losing weight, okay, like getting rid of fat, keeping fat off, establishing those habits that you want to have that would become habits so then you don't feel like you're struggling, and do so in a way where it really feels like a lifestyle, right? It doesn't feel like another diet. And for those of you who have wisdom, meaning you've been around for a while, and there's young people with wisdom, but with 10,000 people every day in the United States turning 65 years of age every day, there's some wisdom in there. Now, some people don't utilize or tap into their wisdom because they're going to continue to do what they do and they'll never be successful. Now, I'm not talking to you guys. I'm talking to the people who are ready for real change and are ready to own this, because there's a lot of diets out there and I'm watching a ton of people. Like I was talking to one of my clients this morning and she was sharing with me this program that's doing pretty well. And I said, well, and when I say well, meaning a lot of people are doing it. Now, they're not being successful, but there was two things I shared with her. I said, number one, the people who recommended that program to you, they are recommending it because they're part of it's a multi-level marketing. It's a network marketing company. So they're not going to share with you the truth about how that diet that they're putting you on may be harming you, or they may be ignorant to it. Some of you may know what I'm talking about. If you know, in the comments, if you're catching this live, just post a name. I mean, I'm not here to throw people under the bus. I mean, like when people bring up popular weight loss programs like Weight Watchers or Jenny Craig, my comments in the beginning are not to put them down, because there's some good things about most programs out there. However, the truth is the truth. Now, when I say the truth, that's coming from a place of a devout Christian. I'm a Christian, and I believe that there's a truth. I mean, I love when Jesus Christ, comments and talks about the way, the truth. I mean, there's the truth. Eventually there's the truth. So when I say the truth, I'm always going to come back to the Diet Free Life methodology, because nowhere in what we do or what you learn or how you learn to eat or the habits that you establish, nowhere in there is it not the truth. Like nowhere. And when you put us side by side with all the other methods, if you will, there is no comparison, because Diet Free Life is about freedom. It's about giving you an opportunity to have knowledge and understanding so that you can eat regular everyday foods in a way that helps you become healthier. If you have weight that you want to lose, you actually lose weight. It just makes sense. Like, I mean, we did a survey a few years back, and I believe it was 93% of the people who experienced Diet Free Life couldn't imagine doing anything other. They couldn't, because once you see something, you can't unsee it, as my buddy Sean used to say all the time. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Now you can go into denial and you can try to hide away from it, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. So this person I was talking to, I said, hey, look, the person who recommended that program to you, they they're a distributor. They're a multi-level marketer selling you this weight loss eating plan that we know is absolutely horrible. And then my client said, well, why is it horrible? I said, well, there's quite a few ways of looking at weight loss. You have what they call weight loss induced bone loss, or bone loss induced weight loss, meaning you get on the scale and let's say you're eating a certain way and your bones, right, get smaller, and that means you're getting closer to osteoporosis, which is not a good thing. But if the density of your bones, okay, go in the opposite direction, you will be lighter on the scale. If you experience weight loss induced muscle loss, there's a lot of people who lose muscle, and when they get on the scale, they're lighter on the scale because they lost muscle. That makes sense. And then you have those people who drop a lot of water weight, and that's weight loss induced water weight, or water weight induced weight loss. So the majority of the weight you see going down on the scale is coming from bone, muscle, and water. Now, before I complete my point here, and then we jump into the fun stuff, why hasn't your doctor ever explained that to you? Have you ever talked to anyone who explained it? I doubt if they explain that, because when people get on the scale, all they're looking at is if the weight on the scale is smaller. They don't know. Most people don't know. Now, let's say that you know who's hearing me. Hear me on this. Most people, okay, the large majority of people do not know that the weight on the scale means very little. It means almost nothing, because our goal is to get rid of fat weight, which makes you healthier and makes you smaller in size and gives you all of those positive benefits we talk about when we talk about losing weight. And coaches, for those of you who are a coach with Diet Free Life, DFL Institute, if you are a coach with us and you're helping people, please educate your clients. At least tell them, give them the opportunity, because then it'll help them see the benefits of the way we teach people how to eat, instead of just eating and relying on packaged foods, which this lady brought to my attention. I mean, they're eating some real foods, but it's like delivery packaged foods. And if you have fallen prey to that, I mean, God bless you, because I hope you're young so that you have time to rebuild your immune system, rebuild your body composition, because after a certain age, which we know after the age of 60, when you take the average of the population, that's when we literally see that the metabolism becomes more inefficient and weight gain starts to happen. And if you've sacrificed muscle and you sacrifice bone when you were doing that crazy diet, well, everything is moving slower and it's going to be way harder to keep the weight off. That's not just my words. That's the National Institute of Health. That's the CDC. That's the Mayo Clinic. That's the World Health Organization. Whether you like some of these organizations or not, this is the truth. You have the truth, and then you have everything else. Okay? So my recommendation, here's my solution, is for the rest of the year, start thinking like this, because I'm going to make this a big part of our 8-week fat loss challenge. I want you to be thinking about eating and drinking foods that you know are helping you. If you just focus on that, then you'll always have fresh fruit in your refrigerator, or you have frozen fruit. You will have a lot of the foods that you know when you eat them, they're nurturing you. And if you don't know if these foods are helping or hurting you, well, you definitely want to get with one of our coaches. You may even want to become a coach, but definitely do our 8-week fat loss challenge, because it's affordable, it's fun, you're part of a group, and we don't launch it until the last Monday is the start date of January. And we've done that for years, and I know why. There's actually a reason for it. A lot of people think, hey, January 1st, hey, the first week of January, everything is about getting started now. Nope. Watch how many people make resolutions, and by the middle of January, those resolutions have faded. I like to get people prepped, get them pumped, and I'm going to put on an orientation in about 3 weeks where I want you to invite people who you've always wanted them to know or learn more about the Diet Free Life methodology. It's not going to be a hard sell. I'm just going to share with them, it's going to be an orientation on what the 8-week fat loss is, the challenge, and what is the Diet Free Life methodology. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. Now, what is the 8-week fat loss challenge? Well, again, it's 8 weeks long. We've been doing it for years. When I did my very first infomercial, I'll never forget, many of the people that we highlighted and featured came from the 8-week fat loss challenge. Now, some people will hear me and go, yeah, well, I think I already know your method. No, you don't. There's people who think a grapefruit, because they've done things with us in the past, they think a grapefruit is a fast carb and grapefruit is a slow carb. There's a lot of misinformation out there. And so whenever you stay up to date or you enroll or participate with me, one, you get to ask questions. Two, I attract a good amount of our coaches get involved, which this year I'm hoping to get more coaches involved because I want to provide a platform for them to have a voice and to reach more people as we start to really grow our reach and the methodology beginning 2023. And if you're catching this and it's 2024, go to the website, dietfreelife.com, or email. I always provide an email where you can email and get quick questions or get answers to your questions. And then you can be up to date on what we got going on. Okay. The other thing that I wanted to point out, because I cover things on the 8-week fat loss challenge, but if people have questions about it, and if you're a client of mine and if you have a coach who's a Diet Free Life coach, ask them, because we may be able to make it where you don't have to pay anything. My clients won't pay. If you're an active client with me, you don't pay to participate in the 8-week fat loss challenge. And in that challenge, we have a new thing we're going to roll out called a gut reset solution. It's a reset for the gut microbiome. And if that makes sense to you, then yeah, you're going to love that because it really is different. It's cool. I've been working on it for a couple of months, and I'm just going to make it part of an option inside of the 8-week fat loss challenge. All right. All right. Let me see. The other thing is we are growing right now, and there's an opportunity. If you've ever thought about becoming a nutritionist or a health coach or a weight loss coach, I would encourage you to learn more about our program because we're getting contacted left and right now by insurance companies in the States, by some organizations in Canada. We just got a huge invite from some people over in Ireland. We have Australia is making a lot of progress. And we're even in Italy, in Spain, and Paris. So it's happening. And the reason it's happening is because people are starting to see the value 2 ways. One, in working with a coach. And then 2, people want to have a side gig, or maybe they want a new career and they want to be a coach. And because we have a curriculum, we have a system, a methodology that is evidence-based and clinically proven, there's no registered dietitian that you can find that can say that. There aren't clinical nutritionists out there that can say that. And if there are, I would love to see their data, see what their studies were, what the research is. We're the only ones that can say that. And that right there makes you supreme. And one of the things that we're implementing with our current certification is when you become a coach, we make sure that unless you give the approval, someone who lives within a certain radius of you, if they live there, they cannot be a certified coach for us. So you basically get a territory. So I don't want to go on and on and on about it, but if you have interest in that, now would be a good time before things start to pick up. And at this very moment, when people become a coach, I am mentoring them, but I do have 5 master coaches that are beginning their training. And the goal in 2023 is that our master coaches will also be able to get coaches certified or certified coaches. So exciting stuff coming along with that. I mean, I'm really, really, really excited. Last thing that I'll share with you, unless you guys have a question, last thing I want to share with you is I spent a couple days with some really high level biochemists and people who have studied these seed oils, linoleic acid specifically, and what is taking place inside of the fat cells. And what's interesting is that, let's say you eat saturated fat that you find in butter or lard or bacon or a steak. Our bodies recognize saturated fat and will use saturated fat as a fuel. Now, one of the fuels that our bodies will use as a primary would be coconut oil, because it has what they call CLA, conjugated linoleic acid. And that's what they call a medium chain triglyceride. You don't have to remember all that stuff, but it gets preferred as a source of fuel. Whereas linoleic acid, which is in safflower oil, sunflower oil, a lot of these oils, is not a preferred fuel because it's foreign to the body. And we only need, let's say, about 2 grams of linoleic acid, because it does fall into the essential unsaturated fatty acids. You have omega-3, which I'm not talking about, and you have omega-6. We do benefit, because it's essential, from a little bit of omega-6. But the problem is we're primarily consuming omega-6, and it builds up in the fat cells. That's where they find it in the tissues. And then it plays a big role in causing inflammation, which shows up in a whole bunch of these chronic, illnesses people are living with. And it causes a person to become insulin resistant. It's almost like if you think of your cell as like let's say a ring, right? So you can put your finger through it and imagine the linoleic acid that's in these seed oils starts to gum up that ring. And now you can't push your finger through that ring. And it just mounts and mounts and mounts. And it causes those cells to be insulin resistant. It contributes big time to inflammation, and cancer, and all kind of negatives are associated with this fatty acid. And what we're seeing more and more is this buildup, and it's leading to a whole bunch of problems, right? So it's like you've been eating these seed oils and you didn't know it. Like imagine someone's using grapeseed oil, and in their mind, they think they're doing a good deed for themselves. Well, the reality is it's very high in linoleic acid. So they're causing some problems that are going to mount, right? It's not like you go and get cirrhosis of the liver by having a glass of wine on the weekend. That happens over time. And you don't see it happening until it happens. And that's what's going on with one of the reasons why people are having challenges losing weight, getting themselves healthy, reversing PCOS, is because it takes time to improve those cells that have this buildup of linoleic acid. It takes time. So, and if you're eating the way we recommend, then you're on the right path. And what I've seen is I'll have someone have a struggle to lose weight. I mean, struggle. And then I see after a period of time, the weight starts coming off like wax to a burning candle. And I believe, and this is in theory, I mean, I can support it with a little bit of science, but I just believe that on a cellular level, by avoiding a lot of these types of oils or the foods that have these oils, those cells start to clean up. And you start burning off some of this excess fat that's not preferred. And now you got these new cells that are breathing and are flexible, and the signaling is better. Like hormones are everything just gets better. Again, I mean, I don't have a scientific paper to show you that, but I can show you a whole bunch of scientific papers on the negatives of some of these oils. So keep your eye on those. But again, as I said in the very beginning, focus on what you want and do that instead of what you can't have or what you think is a problem. And if you don't know, it's time to know. Let's get educated, right? I call them prosumers. It's kind of like the person who's been paying for personal training for years, right? For years. I mean, and it can get up there. You could be spending $8, $9, $10,000+ a year having a personal trainer. But then they wake up one day and they go, you know what? I love the accountability of a personal trainer, but I want to better understand. So I'm going to go get certified as a personal trainer. So that's a pro consumer. They're a pro. They know what the trainers know, even though they may still use a trainer because it helps with accountability and creativity. But once you understand the mechanics of how to exercise, then you become your own personal trainer. You save yourself money. You can do all kinds of things. Well, the same thing with nutrition. Instead of just guessing, right? Because I see this with a lot of my clients, and the best coaches were prior clients. It's like if they're a client first, and they become great coaches because they get it. They have empathy. They have, this compassion to want to help others and make a difference. And then it's just a matter of getting the structure that will make it possible for them to help others, or it helps them help themselves. Yep. I mean, that's how I see it. Anyway, I just wanted to get out here and share something. I'm going to do a cool little presentation before New Year's Eve. So I'll be back on Friday. So if you're catching this live or the replay on a Tuesday, then let's call it Fat Loss Friday on Friday, and I'll have an update. And I'm going to show you some stuff. I have a PowerPoint presentation. I'm going to walk you through some cool stuff that will put you in a position to thrive. And then I'm going to invite you to learn more about the 8-week Fat Loss Challenge. And we're going to have an opportunity for people to save money if they do early enrollment. And there you go. Okay. That's it. Oh, let me give a shout out to Amy Prine, who is living the life. She's really going after it. You're appreciated, Amy. Just keep doing what you're doing. You're doing a great job. And what you put out there is definitely making a difference in the lives of people. I get to hear it from other people. I also want to give a big shout out to Sharon Evers. Sharon is rocking and rolling. Talk about someone who's dedicated and focused. She should do a clinic or a seminar on how to stay focused when you have a lot of challenges that come into your life, because she did, and she stayed true. And I was able to hang tight with her. And I mean, she's down over 100 pounds, and she's on it. And I can say that for a whole bunch of people. I really can. I've seen some amazing things in the last year and 10 months. It's been absolutely wonderful. And sometimes it's just one of those moments where you wake up or you're driving in the car and it just clicks. And all you can think about is how you're going to create boundaries, how you are focused, how you are going to live differently. And so I believe, even though most people fall short, I believe that the New Year's resolution, when it comes to our health and losing weight, can be a good thing. Just take it real serious and don't be okay with it, your motivation fading. Don't be okay with that. And the reason I can say that is because it's like when you lie to yourself once, it makes it okay for you to lie again. Right? People say, "Oh, I'm going to lose weight this week." And they don't. And then they go, "Nah, I had a busy week. I'm going to do it next week." It becomes a habit to tell yourself you're going to do something that's going to be better for you, and then not to do it. It doesn't really mess you up. It's kind of like if you ever watched a boxing match or a football game or basketball game or some type of sport, when the team or the person doesn't win and they're over there crying like a baby, they are hurt. They are just down. And some people would look at them and go, I mean, where's your sportsmanship? Don't be a baby. Well, look, I've been one of those guys when I wanted it so bad and I put forth the biggest effort I could come up with and it didn't work out. At that moment, I am down. Like, I remember when I fought professionally, and I promise I'll end on this. I fought professionally against a guy. His name is Jake Shields. He's a UFC veteran. He was a Strikeforce champion. He won all kind of championships. And we're friends on Facebook. And I like Jake. I've always liked Jake. But when we fought each other, he won the match. It was a match he won by points. And when that match was over, I just walked out that ring. I couldn't look at my ex-wife. I couldn't look at my friends. I couldn't look at my students. It wasn't ego. I was devastated. And it really bothered me for a long time. And I remember reaching out to the promoter saying, hey, I want a rematch. And I will pay 3, 4, 5 times what he got paid. I will pay, because I was a businessman, right? So I had some money. I go, look, I just want the rematch because I know what I'm capable of. I know what I can do. I want a rematch. And we never did a rematch. Now, the good news is that Jake and I became friends and we're still cool to this day. But that's how it affected me. And so if my goal is to lose weight and I'm eating a certain way and I'm drinking my water and I'm working my habits and I'm really putting in the energy, I'm taking it seriously. And I don't want to let me down. And I'm not going to let me down. Now, in the world that we live in, there's so much food out there. And I mean, you could be doing everything right, but eating something you think is healthy, but that's the thing that may be blocking you from getting to where you want to be. Or that thing you're consuming and you think is healthy is putting you in a position where you're like, you don't understand. Like, why am I not losing weight? Like an example, I remember I was down in Newport Beach, California, and I was doing a talk with these people that all were doing pretty well financially, and they felt like they knew a lot about nutrition. And they were all using agave nectar in their tea and in their coffee. And they were totally against honey. And I said, well, why you guys don't eat the honey? And someone said, well, it's too high in sugar. I go, really? And I said, but you're eating you're using the agave nectar. They go, yeah. Well, long story short, honey is one of those foods that God made available. It doesn't spoil, and is absolutely a wonderful benefit to your gut health. And yes, it has sugar in it, but it ain't high in sugar. It has a combination of fructose and glucose, right? And it has a little bit more glucose. Let's say 51% glucose, 49% fructose. But the way it works in your body is 100% beneficial. I can go into great detail, show you all kind of studies, all the data's there. But the people who are using the agave nectar, they might as well go buy high fructose corn syrup, because the agave nectar was 70 to 90% made up of fructose, and that was causing all kind of problems. But a lot of people jump on these bandwagons and the propaganda out there, and people just start hearing, oh yeah, agave nectar. Oh yeah, I use that. And they say it almost like if you're not using agave nectar, then something's wrong with you. Whereas the reality, they're the ones that are uninformed. And because they have fallen prey to someone who was misinformed, then they're using agave nectar, creating more potential damage than if they were consuming honey, which they automatically had in their head it was high in sugar. That's crazy. Think about that. Think about that. And a lot of those people will be quick to walk up to someone or kind of tell them that they're wrong, when in reality, they're missing it. Yeah, it's really interesting. So, Einstein once said, and I won't say this again, I promise I'm about to finish. Albert Einstein was once quoted for saying that his biggest concern or fear is the day that technology surpasses humanity. When it comes to our food, how it's manufactured, how it's created, how it's distributed, what we're eating, if we're not up to date from a knowledge standpoint, if we're not able to read a label and know what's really going on, then technology has surpassed our humanity when it comes to how we eat. And that was his biggest concern. And I see it every day. There are people who believe the way we're going to reverse childhood obesity or get people healthier, let's say in economically challenged communities, right? Under-resourced, underserved, is food as medicine, right? Food as medicine, meaning we know that there's beneficial properties in certain food, like fruits and vegetables. So all we got to do is give it to these people and then we're good. Well, think again. Food prescription, which is another term being used that is interchangeable by a lot of these people out there right now with food as medicine, and they're not. The food prescription would be the written out instructions on how to eat that food. Well, there's no methodologies out there except for ours, Diet Free Life, that would actually do that. Because if you just go to someone's house, I want to eat more fruits and vegetables. People will benefit from structure. People will benefit from guidance. They will benefit from a plan, something that's going to guide them, inform them, show them. And that's what the Diet Free Life methodology does. It's the truth. It's not a lie. It's the truth. So there you have it. So hopefully there was some good information that I shared there. But again, if you want to know more about the challenge, if you want to know about becoming a coach, if you want to become coached, you want to become a client, or you just have some random questions about nutrition or anything else that comes to mind, email my assistant, Lori. Her email is provided, but it's Lori, Lori, at dietfreelife.com. I'm Robert Ferguson. Thank you for giving me your time. Be safe, be well. Until the next one.